of this year's Féile Bríde speaks to Brigid's legacy, who was a woman who is a compelling model for our times, especially in the face of war, environmental degradation and social injustices. Known for her compassion, her leadership and her dedication to peace, the stories of how Brigid lived still resonates deeply with how we too can follow and forge paths of justice and solidarity. And those words, justice and solidarity, were chosen very carefully. We know that without justice, there can be no peace, and without solidarity, there can be no equity. Our world is facing immense challenges, from militarism and environmental degradation to inequality and the erosion of human rights.
The European Union has been increasing its budget for military purposes year on year on year. Each budget in the European Union is a 7-year cycle, and we saw that in the 7-year cycle from 2014 to 2020, the European Union made an unprecedented move and decided to invest the EU public money in the research and development of arms. This was unprecedented, and you would not believe me if I told you that it is actually prohibited under European Union treaty to spend European public money on arms. So they actually get around this by saying, well, it's not really a defence measure, it's an industrial measure, so it's fine. I mean, the nonsense that we are being told, and people actually buying into this nonsense. Yeah, I think the media is a huge piece of this. I think what they're afraid of is that they know Irish people overwhelmingly support neutrality, and if they got wind of the fact that our neutrality was being eroded in this way, they would not get away with it. So I think the idea that they are rolling out the opinion pieces that favour this, that they keep the news well hidden, the framing of it is disastrous. They're hoping to get away with this without people actually knowing what's at stake, because they know that in the past we voted no to Nice, we voted no to Lisbon. They know that Irish people, in the most recent Uplift poll that was done on neutrality, 75% of people said that they wanted to keep Irish neutrality. So they know that if we get wind of the triple lock being eroded and what that means for our neutrality, that they won't get away with it.
Development Pamoja is just a small community-based organisation. Pamoja means together in Swahili. A lot of the work we do is with medical, people with disabilities and with the elderly. And we also do a lot of work with smallholder farmers and with education. So what we do with this is we are actually planting this for cows. And this is a demonstration farm that we have. So what we do is we show farmers how they can actually plant the crop, and then we have extension staff and they go out and show the farmers how they can also plant it. We also provide them with the seeds on credit and actually show them how to plant it in rows. Basically all these things that we get from Afri, when we try to encourage people to come into our projects, we give them a lamp. Again, just to make them feel that they're more part of us as a community. We obviously prioritise the disabled and the elderly first when we provide them with the lamps, but we also give it to the women who form part of our project. They're very, very simple. Not only do they provide you with, obviously, light, they also have a place where you can charge phones. Mobile money in Kenya has become huge in the last few years, so it's very, very important for people to actually have mobile phones. Kenya, and where we work specifically, is on the equator. The sun rises at 6 o'clock every morning, and at 7 o'clock every evening it's pitch dark. So for a continent that is associated so much with light, vast amounts of people actually are in complete darkness for 11 or 12 hours every single day. And that mightn't sound something big, but the vast majority of people, their toilets are outdoors. There is snakes and things in this area. So you have children going out into the toilet in the evening and they can be bitten by anything. We have had children come to our clinic who have been bitten by snakes, and you have to administer antivenom. Having a simple light like that, meaning that they can be guided going out to the toilet, is absolutely huge.
Imagine walking down a path, a small, narrow path, probably just made by people or animals, feeling the leaves and that soft forest soil under your feet. And then imagine sitting with your back against one of those beautiful trees and feeling the strength of that tree, rising up from its roots up to the tip, and that supporting our own spines, which also rise up and support us. And there's a reason that we feel relaxed in that setting. Our bones and our bodies love being in this environment. It is a safe environment for us. It is where we found our food and our shelter and our clean water. And the forest, is this beautiful quote from the Japanese botanist, is the root of all life. It's the womb. It's where humans evolved with and from. For that reason, we feel very well in forests. We feel much better in these settings than we do in very urban settings with hard surfaces, lots of noise, lots of pollution, all of the human-created problems that we're living with in urban areas. So pocket forest is all about trying to put those little breathing spaces back into urban lives, especially urban lives where they're most lacking. And if you look at a map of Dublin in particular, you'll see that the lowest tree canopy cover is also in the parts of the city with the lowest economic income, with people living in very difficult circumstances. The leafy suburbs are leafy for a reason. Most of Dublin's trees are actually in private gardens rather than in our parks and our streets.
Under international law, I am stateless. They took away my citizenship, but they cannot take away my voice. I am a third-generation Palestinian refugee. I was born to a family whose grandparents were forcibly removed from their village to the north of the Gaza Strip. And they fled into Gaza, and they were registered refugees with the UN. And when my parents were born, they inherited that status, and when I was born, I inherited that status. I lived as a refugee in my own homeland. So a chance to amplify Palestinian voices is part of solidarity. Providing them with a platform where they feel safe, supported, uplifted, and empowered is crucial for the dialogue to lead to an action. And I love that word. In research, we often talk a lot about impact, but what is impact without an action? So if you are looking for ways to support, here is a list of things that you can do. Boycott. I have never been to Starbucks. I lowered my Coca-Cola intake until I was able to go completely off it, so it's doable. I am never having a McDonald's meal ever again. I will not allow my hard-earned money to be the bullet that my people get shot at by. These companies and others directly support the Israeli army. If at all possible, do not engage with them anymore. Local cafes, Club Orange, or Supermax might do.
In January of 2024, all the peace ambassadors met and we went to the Curragh racecourse to talk about and plan our biggest accomplishments as peace ambassadors, the world record for the largest St. Bridget's cross of people. It was on the 1st of February last year that we made the giant cross. We had almost 4,000 students from a host of different schools partaking. The event was a great success with music and food.
This year, to promote peace and unity over St. Bridget's Day weekend, we have taken part in a number of events and reached out to many schools worldwide to spread the teachings and the message of St. Bridget. A group of peace ambassadors who took part in last year's Bridget 1500 celebration got together and decided that for this year we would try to send out a personalised card and a St. Bridget's cross pin to as many schools as possible to try and spread awareness for the Pause for Peace movement.
In the year 697 AD, Adamnan called the Synod of Birr. And because of his reputation and his noble connections, he was in a position to invite the church and civic leaders from all across Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. And at that synod, Adamnan presented his Lex Innocentium, the law of the innocents, in which he decreed that it was a crime to kill in war women, children, the clergy and those in the care of the church. These he called the innocent, and his law was to protect the innocent. 91 bishops, abbots, kings and chiefs from all across Ireland, Scotland and Northern England signed this law and became guarantors for it. This was the first law of its kind anywhere in Europe, a law that identified specific non-combatants and provided protection for them. And because of this, Adamnan's law has come to be known as the First Geneva Convention, or the Geneva Convention of the Gaels, and that's us.
So here are some of our past projects. We made bird boxes with the men's shed and they were hung up around Naas. We've done pocket forests as well. We've planted them around Naas town. And we've done art exhibitions, talks in the library and Macaulay Place. We've been to the School Strikes for Climate. And I've been speaking here at this conference since I was 10, I think. So it's been 6 years. And I'm grateful that I've been invited back every year.
It's particularly significant, obviously, for St. Brigid. Women have been very much at the forefront of the resistance in Burma to the military, and they've taken a strong leadership role. I think it was 60% really of the resistance movement is made up of women. Women obviously have borne the brunt of a lot of the conflict. Risk of sexual violence, gender-based violence has been huge, obviously at the hands of the army. And also because there's forced conscription, many men have either been conscripted into the army or had to leave their villages because it go into hiding so that to avoid conscription. So women then obviously bear the brunt of that, either in their own homes trying to keep things going, or also then in many cases the victims of violence or have been killed as a result of the bombing campaign that has been extensively in place throughout the country.
Well, the power of the presentation that we had today were extraordinary, every one of them. But I think especially for me, it is the young women that spoke today. Raghad, unbelievably moving and extraordinary. It's incredibly encouraging for me to hear somebody like Niamh Bhriain taking up the issues that she is doing, which for me for years seemed that nobody would deal with these issues. We have a new voice replacing the older voices that have been around for too long. I feel great confidence that people like Niamh are carrying that torch forward. What we've always wanted is that this would not be a talking shop, as when Gary Mathai says, we're only talking, but that it will translate into action when we leave here. And for me, the big issue now that Niamh referred to this morning is the triple lock. We cannot let them dismantle that without at least raising our voice and letting them know that we know what they are doing.